Good morning and welcome to Wednesday show, Jour de Galop, and as usual we're going to have a look at the previous meeting. We're going to have a look at our two to follow, or my to follow and Shahil's horse to follow, and then obviously we had 4 barrier trials, some nice young horses coming through. We're going to go through that as well, and then obviously our horses to follow. Shahil, welcome back to another Jour de Galop show. Thanks very much for joining us. Saturday, I have to say, I don't know if you agree with me, I was ultra impressed with Nebula's win.
Same for me too. Yeah, very happy to be back here. We didn't really fancy him on Friday, didn't we? But
yeah.
I quickly changed my mind actually in the paddock when I saw him. He was doing very well. No doubt about why Manuel Nunes chose him. And yeah, like you said, I think no one expected him to win that easily. The way he shot clear the 200, impressive.
Yeah, I've always said that I've always been impressed with the way that Baritone quickens up, but this horse just made up 2-3 lengths on Baritone in a matter of strides. Which the impressive thing is that his best form is back in South Africa. He's over a lot further. So looks like the Rameshwar Gajra has got 2 nice horses in the form of White River and Nebula. Still haven't heard whether or not Pierre Stradham's going to come or when he is coming, but I see he looks like he's got some nice horses to ride when he arrives.
He does. And what a race the Bob is shaping up to be. Like you said, Baritone, the way he quickened up with the 61 kgs and probably a hard race. Traveling wide, so Table Bay also a terrible race, pretty wide all the way.
Yeah,
great racing perspective for the Bambi.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on Baritone, who was my first choice. I thought it was a cracking run from him once again. He really tries his best. Obviously, he was 5 kilograms worse off in the weights. Obviously, in the Barbie they will have level weights, but you take nothing away from Nebula. Even if he only had the 56 kilos, that turn of foot was really impressive, and he looks like he's going to be a nice horse here in Mauritius. Right, and then Olivier Placé and the Gajra Sewell, they pulled off a nice hat trick. It was very nice for them.
Yeah, very nice. Olivier's looking like he's mastered the track now around the Champ de Mars. He was already a good jockey back in Singapore. They called him the conductor. He's showing now why he's called that name. Very good style, French jockey. Yeah, I'm sure he'll impress us more in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and Bruno Rees as well. He managed to secure his second win. I tell you one thing, that was Texas Sky. Was very he looked very impressive as well, Texas Sky.
Yeah, that's right. I think you talked about him on the mark on Friday, so you were right about that.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with well, I mean, of his chances. I was just a little bit worried about Xanthus. Like I said, stepping up to 31.
That's right.
I thought Texas Sky was quite a nice bit, and then obviously Manuel Nunes. I would imagine he'd probably want the job with Rameshwar Gajra. I mean, he's had 2 rides with him, two feature races. I think with Group 3 and obviously the Group 1 as well. And nice to see him back. And have to say that he was pretty unlucky on AP Strike. Maybe not unlucky, but we are going to talk about AP Strike in my 2 to follow. Let's get stuck into the 2 to follow. Like I said, AP Strike, and well, probably unlucky loser. I wouldn't say a definite unlucky loser. You know, while I was watching the race, he really started traveling well going off over that road, and he just ran into so much trouble. And I was reading the staff's report about Manuel Nunes' explanations, and I can agree 100% what he's saying. Shahil, as a jockey, let me tell you something, there's no worse feeling in the world is when your horse starts traveling and you're running onto top of horses' heels, and you're sort of trying to do everything to sort of avoid those heels. He had a split-second decision. Yes, it does look pretty bad because that gap opens up as he, probably that split second as he switches in, that gap opens up you know, and I suppose he just has to be unlucky. It was a split-second decision. Nice to see that the stipendiary steward sort of accepted his explanations, because I think it was just probably just a lot of bad luck, and I think his luck started. His bad luck started, I beg your pardon, as he went over that road at the 400, and AP Strike just started traveling so well, and yeah, I have to say, I mean, at the end of the day, would he have beaten Cape Horn? I don't know if he would have beaten Cape Horn. I mean, he did sort of come within 3/4 lengths of him, but he only really got going late, and I think the race was over. That's my opinion.
No, but I do agree with you, actually. I'm not a jockey, but I know our jockey is right. And on a 990-meter race, when you lose your momentum on top of the straight like that, to balance your horse and to get up again to win the race, that's quite hard. But yeah, Manuel Nunes tried to do his best, and he finished a good second.
Yeah, and I think we did mention on Friday morning about Cape Horn there, that with the blinkers. That's right. Yeah, actually, that's right. It was Noshad, our producer, that gave us that that tip. So well done to him. Yeah, he won a good race at Cape Horn, probably the Cape Horn of old when he first started here, and looks like he's got a little bit of a fancy to this 990. Really, just like I'm not saying he quickened up as well as Nebula, but he sort of made up a lot of lengths very quickly. So he probably does like the blinkers and the 990. That's my two to follow. Shahil, you wanted to go with Bad Attitude. Explain to me and the viewers what you saw.
Actually, like I said on Friday, it was the first time for him over 1600 meters on the top weight, and that was a very good race. He was probably not at 100% racing fitness yet. He looks to be still a bit fat, like Manuel Nunes called him himself. Once again, Manuel Nunes shows his magic hands, because we all know Bad Attitude likes to go to the front. I was very surprised when he settled him and relaxed him at the back and rear of the field, and the way he quickened up at the 400 meters. I think if there was 200 meters more, he probably would have beaten my Yankee Doodle Dandy. But Bad Attitude definitely want to keep an eye on and want to follow for the future. Should win a race before the end of the season.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Bad Attitude. I was very confident with the chances of Yankee Doodle Dandy. I'm glad he won, because I had a little bit of a flutter on him. I thought he looked magnificent in the ring, and he went on and won a good race. And finally, he gets sort of rewarded for his consistency. Never been out the first three. Shouldn't have been out the first three, in my opinion. He should have. He should, in my opinion, should have only been in the first two places. This horse, he was pretty unlucky last time, and he's gone off and won a nice race. Let's move over to the barrier trials that we've spoken about the past. Now we're going to look forward to the future. And I can tell you something, Shahil. I'm impressed with all these 3-year-olds that have been bought. There's some really, really nice young horses bought, and even 2-year-olds as well. And I think it's becoming a bit of a trend now where Mauritian owners and trainers are actually buying the younger horses. They obviously come in with quite a nice merit rating. And there was, I mean, throughout the 4 barrier trials, there's quite a nice couple of young horses. Let's talk about the first one, where we had Lecario. He was from the Amos Doyle stable. He had the yellow cap. Why Wouldn't You from Ricky Maingard stable. He was a horse from last year. And then obviously Ticket Holder, the Patrick Mervyn with the green cap. Let's talk about Lecario. Well, he's a nice son, a nice 3-year-old son of Master of My Fate. He's already a 3-time winner, this horse. He's a 3-year-old. And one thing that worried me slightly when I looked at the list of barrier trials was this horse had only performed well on the poly track, but wow, his barrier trial was very, very impressive. He absolutely ran away from them. We've seen horses that have performed well on the poly track that have come to Mauritius and done well. And like I said, he's a 3-year-old, already rated 51. He must be a promising horse. Why Wouldn't You? Unfortunately, he got injured last year, quite badly injured. And well done to Ricky Maingard. He's taken his time. He's managed to bring Why Wouldn't You back. And well, just remember, he's had 3 starts in Mauritius, 2 wins. And 1 win was the leg of that 3-year-old championship last year, and that was a very, very good run. Let's hope he's over all his problems. He seemed to be striding out quite well in his barrier, so let's hope everything goes well with him. And once again, well done to Ricky Maingard. And then Ticket Holder from the Patrick Mervyn stable. He's another 3-year-old that looks pretty decent. He's a 1-time winner from only 5 starts. And the nice thing that I like about this horse is that after he won, he did pretty well after his maiden win. There was quite a nice race, and well, he was, I think he finished behind Lecario, although he was 2.5 kilograms better off. But another horse maybe to keep an eye on. He probably needed his gallop, the Ticket Holder. But Lecario, he looks quite promising. There was quite a promising barrier trial from him, and he's probably a horse that's worthwhile looking at. Probably a little bit, I wouldn't say probably, but he is rated 51 compared to a lot of 3-year-olds that have arrived just sort of 26 and 31. But he's going to start his career off as a 51. But like I said, if that's what he's rated, he obviously deserves that sort of rating.
He does. I think he's entered in that 3-year-old championship this coming Saturday. I hope the race does stand, because I've seen the nomination. There's only 7 horses and 3 from the Mervyn stable, so let's hope that the race stands. I know him from South Africa, because we used to follow those Friday night racing from Greville. I know he's a very speedy sort, so I'm sure he'll go well on the 990 this week.
Okay, great. All right. Well, that was the first barrier trial. Shahil, you had a look at the second one. Do you want to run through that second one with us? There was only 2 horses.
Yeah, only 2 horses in the second barrier trial, with Gunstone with the red jacket and Viking Trail with the green jacket. So Gunstone, a 3-year-old who's a 2-time winner from Joburg, from 7 starts for 4 places. It took him 5 races to open his account back in South Africa, but when he won his maiden, he won it very impressively, because he won by more than 5 lengths on a 1200 meters at the Val. His latest start also back in South Africa was a winning one over 1400 meters. So Gunstone, probably a promising 3-year-old too.
Okay.
The second one, the Viking Trail, is the one that I've been really caught my eye these past couple of weeks. He's a 3-year-old by Parfok. He hasn't been gelded yet. That's an interesting thing about Viking Trail. He made his debut in a World Riders Plate where he finished 4th, but it took him too much time to open his account because on his second start he won at Turffontein under Randall Simons by beating a horse called Triple Z by half a length. He then went on to run second in an assessment place against all the horses, and then on his final start back in South Africa he ran a listed race over 1400 where he challenged strongly the winner and finished only a quarter of a length behind him. This Viking Trail could certainly be a special horse for the Mervyn stable this season.
Yeah, I don't like what you mentioned earlier on, Charlotte. I've never seen a colt do well here. In fact, I remember.
He's too young.
Yeah, but you know he's been sort of in through quarantine, and you would imagine that geld him. There must be a reason why they haven't. But like I said, in fact, I actually do remember one that did well. It was a horse called Marwood Boy. He did pretty well as a colt. Yeah, I won a couple on him. He was a nice horse. Unfortunately, when they gelded him, he had problems and he passed away. But let's hope Viking Trail. He's. I mean, listen. There's only reasons why you geld horses. It's probably because they're too coltish or sort of. A lot of them sort of their blood gets quite thick and then they got to geld them. But if he's not showing any of those signs, then I suppose it could be alright for Viking Trail.
This barrel was pretty impressive this morning.
Yep. Okay, well that's two nice young horses. Right, I'm going to talk about the third barrier. Bear with me, we did have 4 runners there. I'm going to try and get through all of them while this barrier goes off. Let's talk about Anzo Barriga from the Nagadu stable. He's had 2 runs here in Mauritius. It's been pretty average. I'm sure they probably would have preferred, expected a little bit better from him. So they've gone and slapped the blinkers on him, and wow, that was very, very impressive this morning. Easy winner, just galloped away from them, and maybe that's going to make the difference to Anzo Barriga. Remember, he has dropped 1 point now, so he's in 0.20, and he's eligible for 0.20 and 9.90 with those blinkers. Probably a horse worth following. Right, then Tiger's Bond. I would imagine this horse looked like he needed his gallop. He's another 3-year-old. He arrives from South Africa with pretty decent form. He's a 1-time winner from 6 starts, and I think his win was over 1200. I like that he was placed after his race as well, which proves that maybe Tiger's Bond is quite a nice horse for the Patrick Mervyn stable. Then 7th Silver. Well, this horse was obviously bought as a 2-year-old, hence his rating of 25. He's now 3. He's got some decent form, including a good 4th behind that horse One World, which we discussed quite a lot about. One World, the Guineas winner. Also a very good 3rd behind Mr. Green Street, which is with Ricky Mangard stable, and from what I hear, he's quite highly spoken of, Mr. Green Street, and this horse finished just behind him. So another thing about 7th Silver is there's been quite a lot of winners in the coming out of the races that he's competed in. And then well, Rajam Din, he's got a 4-year-old. This horse took 10 starts to win his maiden, and probably over a little bit further as well. Looks like he's going to need a little bit of ground, this horse. It seemed like that in the barrier trial as well. He was sort of like outpaced, but let's see how he goes. One thing I sort of didn't really like about him is that he has been reported to pull up with a respiratory noise 5 out of his 10 starts. So Raja's quite good on sort of working with horses with problems. So let's see how he goes, but that is a little bit of a worrying factor, is that respiratory noise problem that he has pulled up with. Right, that was the 3rd barrier. Shahil, you're going to go through the last one. There were 3 horses there. Go through that with us.
That's right, 2 newcomers and 1 repass for Polo Rock. So there was Professional, a smashing, great-looking individual who's by Bold Silvano and was trained by Mike de Kock back in South Africa. He's had only 3 career starts still now. He hasn't won yet, but his best effort came at his latest outing back in South Africa, where he finished only half a length behind the winner. Sunil Basant had to get on work on him pretty early on because he was slow a bit to begin, but the way he quickened up at the final stretch when he asked for an effort, that was quite impressive actually, because he managed to grab Polo Rock on the line to win the barrier trial. Polo Rock obviously, he jumped better this morning. He trialed very nice. If he's just jumping on terming his races, he probably could be able to bag a winner till the end of the season in this 0.25 class. And then Silken Prince, Manuel Nunes didn't ask him to do much this morning, but he's got some pretty cracking South African form, this fella. It took him 4 starts to break his maiden, where he faced some decent horses against like of Carbon Atom and King of the Delta. But after he won his maiden on a 1600 meters, the Michael Azzi team threw him directly into the deep end against the likes of National Park, even Hawan, the superstar of Mike de Kock, who's won the SA Classic. So the Silken Prince could be a really nice horse of the future here in Mauritius.
So both of those younger horses are from the Mike de Kock stable, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I see it was owned by Sheikh bin Khalifa, so
Yeah, professional.
must have paid, professional, must have paid quite a lot of money for them. All right, well, then, like I said, very nice to see these young horses coming through. It really makes sort of Mauritian racing look healthy with these young horses coming through, and we're going to keep an eye on them. Obviously, a lot of these younger horses will improve from their sort of gallop on the grass. And it'll be interesting to see how their careers carry on here in Mauritius. Right, that was the barrier trials. We spoke about, we selected 10 horses that we spotted in training we want to talk about. I'm going to kick off with Virtue. Can kick myself when this horse, because I really like this horse. Obviously the draw last time put me off, and well, he got it all together when he beat Waltag. He was hanging quite badly that day, but look, he was drawn 9 out of 9. Cedric sort of had to chase him from a poor draw, a little bit green in the straight, maybe a little bit tired as well, but he beat Waltag. We all see Waltag came out and win his next start, so that form has been franked. And well, he worked alongside Good Buddy, and Good Buddy needs no introduction. 2 runs here, 2 wins, and if I'm not mistaken, he is entered in the first leg of the 3L Championship. So it'll be good to see Good Buddy go in that race. But Virtue, I'm really happy with the way that this horse is going. I think he's going to be a little bit better than he was last time, and probably could pull off back-to-back wins. Virtue.
Virtue, like you said last time, we didn't fancy him really much, but once he went to the front, no one could catch him, and probably if he does that again, it will be very hard to catch again.
Yep. All right, you want to speak about a newcomer, Al Sakra, from the Gajra stable?
That's right. He's a one-time winner back in South Africa, but don't forget that one-time winner, because he beat Kings County, and we all know how good Kings County is. He's got some pretty solid form with 6 places against the likes of Monkshood and Sir George. He's been working pretty well since now. He's galloped last Friday with Sky High Flyer, and even this morning again with Sky High Flyer. I didn't see him in the nominations or this week. Probably he'll be making his debut in the coming weeks.
All right. Well, let's check about that, because I think I saw him, but I could be wrong. I mean, you know,
I saw Shiba from Mango.
Yeah. You see, I got mine at I got mine quite early, and the print wasn't that good, and I sort of had to try and zoom to see where these horses are nominated. But you could be right, Shael. I thought I saw his name, but they are, like, I could be wrong. Right, let's talk about Till Dawn, and well, here's a horse that I'm disappointed is not nominated, because I've been waiting for this horse. I looked once again. I could be wrong. I looked everywhere in the nominations, couldn't find him, but I was so impressed with this horse's first start this year. Remember, he weighed in 22 kilograms heavier than his race last year when he ran second to Mind Blowing. We saw Mind Blowing once again come out and win. So there's 2 runs, 2 seconds. I reckon he's ready to make up for that, and I won't be surprised if he wins his next start. That's when we see him come out. He worked alongside Tweak the Wind. Tweak the Wind's not a bad horse in his own right. He's a sort of horse that's done well over sprint distance, which just makes Till Dawn's work looks that much better. I'm really looking forward to Till Dawn stepping out again. I think he could quite easily win his next start here in Mauritius. Right, Shael, you wanted to speak about a sort of more lower rated horse, that's Zen Zero from the Herchon stable?
That's right. He made an encouraging start this season this time when he finished third to Badawi on the 990. Probably that was a bit too short, right? But the way he took it was very impressive. I went back to check his South African form. I see that he won on a 1600 meter there, so that means he's quite versatile, this Zen Zero. Manuel Nunes, who's now riding for the Sham Herchon stable, will be a big asset for the stable and for this horse. If he reproduces his track work and that form of last time, it could be in the Ways enclosure very soon.
Okay. Do you think he will be more affected over the sprint distance? Or I suppose, like you said, he's versatile, but that was a good run in the 990.
That's right.
Only rated 21 as well.
That's right. Let's see what Sham Herchon does with him.
Okay, great. And then one of my 2 to follows, I think it was from not last or the week before, that's Sir Capers. Well, there was a terrific run to play another tune. I thought he would never beat and play another tune, but he had a little bit of traffic problems, had to switch in up the straight, and in my opinion, this horse has changed this season. He looks a lot better, this horse. What I liked about this horse, when he walked off the track, it looked like he wouldn't be able to blow a candle out, and I see he's entered in the last race, a 0.25 over 1600 meters. I think that he's going to be a big run, especially if he sort of reproduces that sort of run that he put up last time. Let's have a look if Sir Capers is going to be one of my 2 to follows, if he's worthwhile following Sir Capers. I thought that was pretty good work from him. Right, Shahil, the very impressive winner first time out. You spotted him in training. He's entered in that 3L Championship. That's Rule the Night.
That's right. Like you said, very impressive on his debut when he won going away. He was still very green in the home stretch that day, which suggests there could be still room for improvement for this 3-year-old. Not to forget his very good South African form against the likes of National Park, Bald Eagle, and even Barahin, which even his races back in South Africa has been over 1400, so that means they could go further in distance. If not next time out, probably further in the season. He'll be running in the first leg of the 3-year-old championship this Saturday, and the nice thing about it, he won't have those top class 3-year-old like Cyber Special, Watch Me, that'll play under the tune. They're not entered in the race. The only disadvantage for him that he'll be carrying top weight of 61 kgs, but the way he's been working over the 990, he'll be very hard to catch.
Yeah, I'd be very sort of surprised. From what I've seen the nominations, I mean, there are some nice 3-year-olds, don't get me wrong, but he's had that sort of first race of his was so impressive. He's had the run in the belt. There's quite a couple of horses that are sort of having their first start. Maybe Good Buddy could be a little bit short.
Yeah, probably. I would have preferred him over 1400.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought we'd see play another tune, but once again, probably a little bit too short for him as well. Probably maybe concentrate on the second and then third leg. All right, then I want to talk about Blow in the Box. I wouldn't say one of my favorite horses, but a horse that I've always followed. This horse got such good form. I've been really waiting patiently to see the return of him. Have a look at his form last year. Ultra consistent, only missing the placing once, and that was in the third leg of the 3-year-old championship, where he was apparently pulled up injured. He knocked himself, or I know there was an injury problem with him in that sort of in that race. Some excellent form behind the likes of Bad Attitude, Perplexing, those sort of horses. He's nominated in 2 events, but likely to run in the third race in a 1500. I think the second race is out of bracket, and there are 15 horses nominated, so it's going to be, I would imagine he's going to battle to get placed in a race like that, but probably see him in the third race. He's well this horse. I reckon he's a top horse. Another horse that has matured beautifully over the off season, and I'm looking forward to see Blow in the Box contend his 4 and obviously his 5. And then Mambo Rock show, that's what you want to do. Mambo Rock, I think we both fancied him a little bit last time.
One of my favorite horses of last season. That's for a reason. He won 5 races last season to show how good of a horse he is. But his rating has been up to 50 now, so we might not win 5 more races this season. Mambo Rock. Yeah. He's been working well. He's had the benefit of 1 run now. It was a tough run last time because he did lost the shoe, but still managed to run on strongly to finish 4th against Virtue, who's spoken a bit earlier on. So Mambo Rock, if he's running this week or in the coming weeks, he could be visiting a Liège enclosure.
Okay, yeah, Mambo Rock, big. Well, Robbie Frey is a very big fan of Mambo Rock. He's always sort of mentioned what he thought about Mambo Rock. I do agree with you, Charles. I think a lot of these horses are better than their ratings, but they get to a sort of a ceiling, and then they sort of battle around where that sort of ceiling is. But Mambo Rock more than capable of picking up another win soon. Right, I'm going to stick with Gilbert Rosset stable. I'm going to talk about Kings County, and fair to say that he needed his last run from that poor draw. He was drawn 9 out of 10, and he hopped off and went to the lead. I don't think he settled that well. I think, if I'm not mistaken, no, not him, sorry, I'm thinking of another horse. I thought he was a bit overweight, but he wasn't. But I can tell you, he does look a lot better. He looks a lot more alert. He looks a lot fitter. I like the way he worked this morning. And remember, last season he racked up those 4 wins. Another horse that Robbie Frey thinks quite highly of. And Kings County, I'm looking forward to. He's entered on Saturday. I believe it's not as strong as what he took on last time. He's had that 1 run on under the belt. Jagresh Noel, well, he'll be riding him, and I reckon he must have a big chance on Saturday. Kings County, he's a top horse, and I think we can sort of excuse that run, even though it wasn't that bad. I think we can excuse it, because I think, if you remember correctly, Show, we weren't sort of convinced about his racing fitness, and he looks a lot better now that he's had that win. All right, to finish us off, Shahil, you saw hit him again, Chuck from the Pedro stable.
I did. He had a tough race on the 990 last time out. He had to travel wide from that 7th barrier, and we still managed to run on further to the runaway winner Barrack Street, who we quite fancied that day. He looks to have improved during the off season and seems to have learned from his races of last year. A horse which we definitely have to follow for the coming weeks.
Okay, great. Well, that's it. That's our barrier trials and our training. Let's hope it's helped you, especially on Friday when we when we got our On the Mark show. You can go back to the Jeu de Gallo show, have a look at how horses are working, if we've spoken about them. But these 10 horses, these horses that we've spotted, and hopefully they do perform for us and we don't look like total fools. But thanks very much for joining us. Remember, Friday's show is, I think we're going to be in our new studio. It's not 100% yet, but we are planning on moving to a new studio. Hopefully it's going to sort of look a little bit nice. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this studio. It's just, I have heard quite a lot of complaints about the sound there. So I think there is a bit of a sound problem. Let's hope that's all going to be taken care of. And we're looking forward to seeing you on Friday. Take care. Thanks very much for joining us. Goodbye.